Hey, janitor, what's your max bench? 10 pounds. Or just your mop? Laughter cracked through the gym like a whip, but Graham Ellis didn't flinch. He kept wiping down the mirror slow and steady. Show the kids what a real man looks like. More chuckles rolled through the room, but Graham just stood there, quiet and steady, his salt and pepper hair gleaming under the fluorescent lights, making him look older than his 42 years. His gray janitor's shirt was clean but faded, tucked neatly into navy work pants. To anyone watching, he was exactly what they expected. No threat, no glory. Just the guy who cleaned up after everyone else's progress. But then the door swung open and everything shifted. Ellie came barreling in like a summer breeze. A 7-year-old tornado with messy golden curls and a polka dot dress, completely oblivious to personal space. Behind her strode Reese Whitman, CEO, franchise owner, and the kind of woman who wore executive heels and an icy stare like armor. Phone glued to her ear, posture perfect, but even she couldn't stop the tension filling the air. Ellie darted past the trainers, eyes fixed on the shiny plates stacked beside the bench press. Sweetheart, not there, Reese warned, voice tight. But it was too late. His left hand caught the bar midair, absorbing its full weight. His right arm swept around Ellie, pulling her back just as the barbell crashed onto the bench inches from her head. The silence after was deafening. Tyler lay gasping, and Graham crouched, one arm shielding Ellie like a shield. She looked up at him with wide, tear-glossed eyes and whispered, "You're the strongest person I've ever seen." Graham blinked. Was she hurt? Reese's heels clicked sharply as she rushed over. "She's okay," Graham said softly, still shielding the girl. Ellie clung to his shirt like he was her anchor. Reese stared at Graham differently now. Not the cold CEO, but someone shaken awake. "Thank you," she said breathless. "I don't even know. I just did what anyone would have done," Graham cut in quietly. But that wasn't true. Everyone else had frozen. Tyler sat up slowly, cradling his arm. "I didn't mean for that to happen, man. I swear." Graham didn't answer. He just stood, lifted Ellie to her feet. "You okay, kiddo?" She nodded and then hugged him tight, whispering, "You smell like floor cleaner and pancakes." A flicker of a smile crossed Graham's lips. "That's oddly accurate." Somewhere in the gym, someone muttered, "Did you see that?" No one looked at him the same. Not even the ones who used to pretend he wasn't there. Reese escorted Ellie out, throwing one last glance over her shoulder at Graham. He went back to mopping, not because it was over, but because, for him, it had just begun. Who was that guy? The question lingered even after he vanished into the staff hallway. Reese sat in her corner office, a queen in a glass tower overlooking the gym empire she built. On her tablet, profit margins and reports blinked. But her eyes were glued to the security footage on her phone, again and again, slowing the frame. There was Graham, dropping the rag and sprinting across the gym, feet landing with perfect traction, arms moving with precision. That catch, it wasn't reflex. It was training. A text buzzed. HR report, Graham Ellis. No write-ups. Punctual. Low profile. Former Marine. Joined 3 years ago. Widower. 1 daughter. Reese leaned back, processing. All this time, she'd passed him without a second thought. The man who cleaned her floors and left only the faint smell of lemon disinfectant behind. And today, he saved her daughter's life. She should have thanked him properly. But she hadn't. Not yet. That evening, Graham stood outside his small brick house on a quiet cul-de-sac. The porch light flickered like it needed new wiring, which it did. He just hadn't gotten around to fixing it. Inside, his daughter Emma was hunched over her homework, auburn hair in a messy bun. Crayon stuck in her mouth like a cigar. "Math war zone?" he asked, kicking off his boots. "Fractions are a scam," she grunted. He chuckled, setting down a grocery bag. "Leftover chili or mystery mac and cheese?" She narrowed her eyes playfully. "Blue box or betrayal box?" "Blue." "Accepted." As he stirred the pot, Emma watched him. "So, it's just a bumper," but it wasn't. "It was your soul." He laughed. "God, you're your mother's daughter. Sharp as a tack and twice as fearless." "There was a girl," he finally said. "Got too close to the weights. Someone dropped a bar. I caught it." Emma blinked. "You caught a barbell?" He gave her a side glance. "It wasn't that heavy." She stared. "Dad, you eat cereal with a fork so the milk doesn't get soggy. You're the most low-key person alive." You just saved a kid and that's your big reveal? He shrugged. It happened fast. Emma didn't respond right away, then asked, did anyone say thank you? Graham thought of Ellie clinging to him like she found an anchor, and Reese looking at him with something softer than arrogance. Yeah, he said. They did. Good. You deserve that. He ruffled her hair. Finish your fractions. Chili's almost done. A fresh mop head and gloves awaited in the supply closet, with a note simply saying, thank you, management. Graham stared at it a long moment before slipping it into his pocket. I'm always busy, but I can pause. She gestured toward a private lounge. Inside, neither sat down. I've watched the footage, she started. You reacted like someone who's done that before. Not just strength, the timing, the precision. Force of habit, Graham said. Marine. 16 years. Why janitorial work? He met her gaze, calm. It's honest. Pays just enough. Flexible hours. Keeps me close to my daughter. Reese exhaled slowly. Ellie hasn't stopped talking about you. Last night, she said that man held the whole world up with one hand. Graham blinked. She's dramatic. Observant, Reese corrected, softer this time. I owe you more than I said yesterday. You don't owe me anything. I did what any parent would. That's the thing, Reese said quietly. Most people didn't. Only you did. There was silence, but not the uncomfortable kind. Reese looked at him and asked, would you be open to coaching? Not full-time, but with special needs clients? You know how to handle pressure, and kids trust you. He shook his head gently. That's not who I am anymore. Maybe it's time to remember who you were meant to be. Outside, the gym buzzed as usual, but something had shifted. For the first time in years, Graham Ellis wasn't invisible. And for the first time in her life, Reese wasn't sure if the man who cleaned her floors wasn't about to clean up something in hers, too. Later, Reese asked, why didn't you ever tell me that you were a Marine, that you held a silver star, led search and rescue in Fallujah, saved lives under fire? He paused, then kept wiping mirrors. I applied to clean floors, not collect medals. She sighed, frustrated but fascinated. You realize this gym worships strength, and the strongest man in the room is the one no one noticed? Graham looked at her. Strength isn't what you lift. It's what you carry and don't let fall. Behind Reese, Ellie's laughter echoed from the kids' yoga studio. She doesn't warm up to people easily, Graham said softly. But with you, it's like she's known you forever. She's got a good soul, he said. Reminds me of someone. Your daughter. He nodded. Emma. Reese asked for a photo. Graham pulled out a worn picture. Emma. 10 years old, freckles bright, lopsided grin, baseball glove too big for her hand. She's beautiful. She's everything. That night, Reese sat alone in her penthouse. The city lights cold and distant. Ellie was asleep on the couch, clutching a teddy bear Graham had repaired. She searched Graham Ellis's military record, 16 years service, decorated for bravery. Mom said I can say thank you properly now, she said. Thank you for saving me and for not yelling when I was being a tiny tornado. Graham crouched to her level. Even tornadoes need someone to anchor them. She giggled. That's a cool thing to say. I've had practice. Are you a superhero? She whispered. His eyes twinkled. No, ma'am. Just a dad. Well, that's basically the same thing. That evening, Emma noticed her dad moving slower. Old injury flared from catching the barbell. Did you ice it? She asked. I did. Heat after. Yes, boss. You're going to say it's fine, right? He nodded. Then let me tell you what I see. You walk into places like you don't belong. But you do. You're more than a janitor, Dad. I wish you saw what I see. Graham blinked, caught off guard. I don't need medals, he said softly. I'm not talking about medals, she said. You make people feel safe. That's rare. He looked away, murmuring. Do you ever wonder if people only see what they want to see? Maybe, but sometimes someone just has to look a little closer. The next day, Reese came early to find Graham refilling sanitizer bottles. We're hosting a community fitness day this weekend, she said. Low-key, families, vets, special needs. And maybe it's time we stop hiding behind who we were and start standing in who we are. He stood there a moment longer, thinking, maybe strength wasn't just what you carry. Sometimes it's what you finally decide to let rise. The invitation was unexpected, handwritten, slipped under his locker door. You've already met my daughter. I figured it was time you met her mom properly. Dinner. Graham stared at it, unsure whether to laugh or walk away. He hadn't been invited to dinner in years. Not like this. Later. Dad. He looked at her, the weight of those words sinking in. You don't always have to be invisible to stay safe. Saturday evening, Graham stood outside Reese's townhouse. Softer than usual. Come in, she said gently. Inside, it wasn't a CEO's house. It was a home trying to remember what home meant. Books stacked, a violin leaning in the corner. Graham said. She was silent for almost a year after her dad left, Reese admitted. Wouldn't speak, wouldn't eat, wouldn't look anyone in the eye. Therapy helped. Time helped more. You didn't even know you were helping, she whispered. Sometimes we do our best work when no one's watching. Reese nodded, then asked, Can I ask something personal? Sure. Why did you walk away from all of it? The military, the medals, the career. He exhaled slowly. My wife, she was the anchor. I came home after a tour. 3 months later, she was gone. Taught her to ride a bike, not someone chasing ghosts. She finally said, That's not walking away. That's choosing what matters. Ever think of coming back? Not to war, but to yourself. No, he said. That man died with her. He's just been quiet, waiting, she whispered. Silence stretched, full of honesty. Do you ever miss being seen? He didn't answer, just said. You know the hardest part about war? It's not the danger or death. It's the silence afterward, when the world moves on like nothing happened. And you're left trying to remember how to talk about grocery lists without thinking in codes. Her voice barely a whisper. I know that silence. Different war, but I know. 2 lives, so different. Her gaze didn't waver. I don't think I ever stopped. Graham looked back once from the porch. Reese stood in the doorway. For the first time in a long while. Graham Ellis felt something shift, not in the air, but in his chest. Quiet stirrings of a man remembering it's okay to come back to life.